Hi, friends. Today we are going to continue from our Three Little Pigs book to the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and this comes from the wolf's point of view. Now, it might be different, and in fact, I'm going to guarantee you it's going to be different than this story. And so we're going to see how the wolf saw the story go down. Okay, let's begin. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. This is told from the wolf's point of view. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. Now, I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault that wolves like cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, if cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were a big bad wolf too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. A sneeze, which comes out of your nose, achoo, plus 1 cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. Look, this cake has a bunny in it. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell in. The minute I knocked on the door, it fell in. I didn't want to just walk into somebody else's house, so I called, "Hey, little pig, are you in?" And there was no answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a giant sneeze. Achoo! Look, there's the little pig in there. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down. And right there in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have a cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the doorbell on the stick house. Ding dong. Nobody answered. So I called, Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, "Go away! You can't come in! I'm shaving the hairs off my chinny chin chin." Look, he's got a little shaver in the hairs. So he's saying, so the wolf herd, go away. I'm shaving the hairs off my chinny chin chin. Interesting. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a giant sneeze. Achoo! And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down too, just like the other brothers. And when the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it there out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do, and I had dinner again. Thinking of it as a second helping, I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling better. A little better. I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake, so I went to the next house, and this guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family, 'cause he had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house, no answer. I called, Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in? Do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, wolf! Don't bother me again. Talk about polite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't even give me one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again, and the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Wow, that wasn't very nice. Look at the pig's face. It looks like he's really mean in this one. That pig didn't sound very nice. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go crazy. And when the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down this pig's door. And the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. And the rest is, as they say, is history. So, the news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. And they figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down crap, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. It's the real story. I was framed. But maybe if you could loan me a cup of sugar. He still needs that cup of sugar. Look, it says in here he's in the pig pen. Looks like he's been there for a while. His beard's grown pretty big. So they locked him up and they put him in jail. Now, in this story, two of the pigs died out of the three. In the other story we read last time, all three pigs lived, and the wolf ended up with no hair on his bottom and ran away and was never seen of again. So every time you read a story about the little pig, sometimes it changes. Almost every story about the three little pigs is just a little bit different from the next. It's all about how somebody heard it. So take for instance the news reporters who reported this news. They didn't think getting a cup of sugar would be that big of a deal, a good story. So they changed it up and made it sound more exciting. And so if you kind of think about all the different Three Little Pigs stories being written by a different news reporter and how they've all changed it up just a little bit different to make it more interesting, um, that's kind of why all of the Three Little Pigs books are just a little bit different. But I encourage you to find another Three Little Pigs book and read it and see how different it is from these two. Because I guarantee you it'll probably be just a little bit different. Well, I hope you enjoyed both of these books, and I sure hope you come back to my channel and listen to me read more books. I love you guys. Bye.